Hi, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Penetration Testing with Kali Linux. And today, guys, we're going to jump straight into Metasploit framework. We've covered the basics, we've covered the foundations of Metasploit. And as I promised, today we are going to jump straight into a bit of the hands-on stuff, but not to go into it too much where we're going to get overloaded with information. So what I want to do in this episode is just touch on Metasploit. It's episode 6 that we're on right now. So we've covered off a couple of things leading up to where we are right now, right? So we've covered off getting started with Nmap. We started with port scanning, understanding how protocols work. We took a look at Hack the Box. We looked at more Nmap stuff, the scripting engine. We did a walkthrough with Qioptrix as well, so went into that. And then we jumped into Metasploit framework, right? So we had a basic foundation of Metasploit, how it all works. So a bit more of the theoretical side of things. Now we're going to get into the hands-on side of things. So over the next couple of videos, we're going to do a couple of things. So this introduction or introductory video into Metasploit is only going to be a short video. We're going to do a couple of examples. And those examples is going to be a quick port scan with Metasploit. And then we're going to be using, I think, SSH. So we'll see how we go on a couple of machines that I've got in this test environment. We'll test them. And then we'll use Metasploit to enumerate them. We'll get the hang of things with Metasploit. And then we're going to move over into Armitage. And then we're going to go into the exploitation, the post-exploitation. And then we'll do a couple of more walkthroughs with a couple of Vault machines that are available to us. And I think that'll conclude that sort of part. So over the course of the next maybe 3 or so videos that are set to come, it's all gonna be hands-on from here. So no more death by PowerPoint, and you know my style. So I don't like to do PowerPoint videos. It's more hands-on and get it going that way. So let's not waste too much time and let's get started with this. So I'm at the console here on my Kali box, and the first thing I'm going to do right now is just fire up Metasploit. So let's just hit MSF console and let's fire it up. So guys, as I said, I've got a couple of machines that I've set up on this environment. I don't know what's exactly on them, so we're going to do a quick test. And I'll just see what I've got currently on the machine on this. Hopefully you guys can see that. I've made the screen a little bit bigger as well for you guys to sort of see. I've noticed some people just mentioning that they couldn't see the screen. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just a quick nmap of the environment. So just do a quick T4 on 192.1.1 and let's hit it to 250. And before that, I want to look for ports, port 22 for SSH. All right, cool. So we've got Metasploit up and running, and the cool thing is you see the banner. And one of the cool things I remember doing was just hitting banner every couple of minutes, just to see the figures change. It's really cool, right? So I love those little designs. You know, one really cool thing. Just bit of fun. You know, just early on in the days was one of those things. Just like, whoa, look at the banners. What's on there today? Oh, exit. You know, renew banner, etc. So you can see down here that Metasploit's updated, so it's version 5 that we're on. Almost 2,000 or so exploits, 1,100 or so auxiliary modules, 343 post modules, payload modules, encoders, NOPs, and evasion payloads as well. Things as well. So as we discussed, it's the operating system of hacking. We're going to be spending a lot of time on Metasploit. And if you are going into the certification side of things, and Metasploit is great to a certain point, but you don't want to be doing everything through Metasploit. There's so many other exploitation modules and stuff that we can be utilizing. Metasploit is, heavily geared to that. But we also want to be doing proper manual exploits as well, which we're going to touch on as well. But just get familiar with Metasploit. We are going to be using it for a lot of the exploitation stuff that we are doing in obviously the real world and capture the flag tournaments and other hack the box like scenarios too. So getting familiar with it, understanding it, is critical. So let's jump in. So let's look at the first thing and let's just do a quick port scan. So with Metasploit, it also has a built-in scanner module. So like Nmap, I just did a quick port scan for port 22 because I want to look for any SSH that's open on the environment that I've got. And it looks like I've got SSH open on a couple of different machines. And we're going to go through them. And what I'm going to do is the first part is try log onto them. So I'm going to log onto a machine using a brute force-like method. We'll enumerate for versions of SSH. So when we're doing a proper port scan, and then the last method will be, or probably the first method is going to be this. We'll do a quick port scan, and then we'll move over into the SSH version and the SSH brute force as well, just so you can see how we can utilize it in the back end. So let's, so the first thing that I want to do as well, when you're looking for exploits, the search function within Metasploit is really handy. Like you saw when we did Kyoptrix, we can just do a quick search, look for a payload, look for a known exploit of some sort, and then start narrowing down our search. So just off the top of my head, I just want to search for SSH, and I want to look for an auxiliary scanner module, which is, if we're scanning for SSH, I want to look for those two. So instantly I can see two of them that I want. So these are the two ones that we want, is number 18, the auxiliary scanner SSH login module. And we're also going to take a look at the auxiliary scanner SSH version module. So we can start extracting the versions of SSH to look for more exploits or vulnerabilities within those. And then we want to log in as well. So if we have, I was thinking parameters, but that's not the right word, it's credentials. We can start go ahead and brute forcing them. So if we've got a sec list, which, a really cool handy tool to use. So let's fire up Firefox, and I'm just going to open up a private tab, and I'm just going to head over to Google. And then I'm just going to go over into sec lists, GitHub. Now, if you guys are not familiar with sec list, it's a really great, amazing tool. It's written by a guy called Daniel Messler, and he's compiled a bunch of security passwords. So all segregated, correct, nice and segregated easily and beautifully for us. There's password modules in here that he's got around common credentials, cracked hashes, default credentials, leaked databases. So when we're putting these against attacks, we can use a lot of these text files against our exploitation, or if we're doing a brute force like attack. So, you can go through all these in your own time, but these are all .txt files of passwords. You can put them all into one file, or you can separate them like he's got them. And obviously different things for different needs as well, right? So I'm not sure where they are, but here we go. So, top 20 common passwords, shortlist SSH passwords, and whatnot. So, and it looks like I'm forgetting what I'm about to say because I'm just constantly clicking around and thinking, and I want to give you guys so much value on the things. But, sometimes these things are hit and miss, guys. So chances are they're not going to work. Chances are they may work. It's finding sort of the sweet spot, and there is no silver bullet. Essentially, it's just trial and error, trying different things, finding a certain way to work, and just having a go at it your own way. So I can only just show you so much. The rest you're going to have to find what works for you. I'm more than happy to talk about what works for me and what I've worked, what works for me great, when I'm doing engagements and doing things. But the rest is, is your own thing. It's your own forte. All right, cool. So we've done our scan. So now a couple of machines running SSH. Let's just do a quick port scan now with Metasploit. So let's do a quick search for port scan. Now, I don't know if this is going to work. There we go. So we can do a couple of things. So we can do a SYN, we can do a TCP or Christmas scan. So let's just do a quick TCP SYN scan. So let's use that module. And then let's show the options. So let's see what the parameters are for us to use. So it's saying the batch size, it's fine. The interface doesn't need What else do we need? The R host, the ports. All right, cool. So let's do it and just see how we go with it. So let's set some of these parameters. So set R hosts, say .1 dot, let's do that to 250. And then we'll set the ports to port 22 because we want to do SSH. Actually, if we're going to do a SYN scan, let's just do set port to 80 and 22. Okay, let's see how we go with that. Interface, don't need that. All right, I think we've got everything that we need. Delay, yeah, let's just do delay as well. Set delay. Just do milliseconds. Let's just do 400 milliseconds. All right, do you know we all know about that? All right, let's just run that and see how we go. All right, so it's found one open port on 22. Now, if we're running this port scanner with Metasploit, you don't need another port scanner. You know, there's so many port scanners out there. We can use Nmap, Massscan. Massscan is really good, and I think we might do an episode around when we do a bug bounty-like method around using Massscan, using Nmap, doing some third domain sort of recon tactics. If you guys do want to see that, let me know. And I think we can create maybe a couple of hour video around bug bounty attacks, doing proper attack surface mapping, which is really quite cool. Utilizing Massscan, utilizing Sublista to find domain names, and doing some really cool things. So I think we might even touch on that a little bit as well. So chances are, you know, you don't need so many port scanners. I mean, you know, a port scanner may miss, you know, a certain something every now and then, but having a backup one just to do something else as well is quite handy dandy. So, you know, do you need another port scanner? No. Just knowing that Metasploit has a built-in port scanner helps, just in case sometimes you might be stuck in Metasploit and just go, hey, I'm just in here, let's just do a quick port scan and see what we come up with. You can do that. So it looks like it's taken its time, I think because we did our delay, which was quite heavy. So let's just go maybe, yeah, let's do 10 milliseconds. If that's going to be an issue, let's run that. I think I know what the issue is. The network 1.0. Maybe it doesn't like the range command. Okay. So I'm just going to go. So there's a known host that I've got here as 158. I'm pretty sure he's running SSH. Here we go. Cool. So we know that those two ports are open on that specific host. So if I run 158, if I set the R host as 159, that's another host that I'm sure is running here as well. Okay, cool. So it looks like port 80 is on that guy, no SSH. What else do we have? So I already ran Nmap before on here. So let's just reference it as well. So it's running on .1.1. 104 is running. So if I go back into here and just do a quick host to 104, let's run that just to verify. So we've got those two ports, 80 and 22 is running on there as well. That's good. 108, it's filtered. Let's see what 108 filters back with. All right, cool. So that's a filtered port. Doesn't mean it's closed. SSH is closed on this guy. Here's 140. Don't know what this box is. 140. Okay, so they're both open there. All right, cool. So let's just go back now Let's finish them again. Back. All right, cool. So fire that up. All right, and now let's go into SSH. So let's go use auxiliary scanner SSH. Um, so let me just do it. I want to quickly do it now. All right, cool. So I think it's this guy that we can try it on. All right, cool. So let's just do a quick version. So instead of doing the login, let's go with search SSH. SSH version, that's all we want. So what we're going to do now is just enumerate the version of SSH. So we can also do that with Nmap. We can also do that with Metasploit, right? So there's no right or wrong. It's just what method works for you. So let's set our options. So set our host. So for the remote host, in this case, it's going to be the 158 guy. In my case, let's run that and see. So it's come back as SSH version this. So if I can now do a search within Metasploit as well, so I might just fire up another instance. Search for nothing. Let's say SSH2. It doesn't look like it gets really tweaky when you start doing searches specifically for versions and stuff. So it's usually just going, hey, let's maybe look at OpenSSH and then working it backwards from there. So search. Okay, so it looks like it has nothing that makes use of us, makes use for us. So okay, that's fine. All right, cool. So there's two ways to search, obviously. We're going to get into more of the searching stuff later. But very quickly, you can start looking at exploits, right? So once we look at a version of a protocol like SSH, and we've gone, okay, cool. We know now that the version of this protocol is 4.7p1. What exploits are available, if any? Can we get a remote code execution on this payload, on this version? Is there another kernel exploit that we can run once we have access to it, etc. So we can start leveraging SearchBloit, which is a built-in database internally. We can use Metasploit's database, or we can just go to Google and just go, OpenSSH 4.71D, 4.71B, whatever the case is, and start looking at exploits. So very quickly, we can just go in here and just do quick searches and see what's available to us. It does get very temperamental in the way you do searching. It just might not pick up a certain character, a certain attribute, and you've got to work your way through it. So, using OpenSSH, for example, instead of the whole thing, is a really good example. So, okay, so we've got a version, we've enumerated the version. Let's just do quickly a exploit on this, and let's just go use auxiliary SSH. Let's go use aux scanner SSH. So let's review our options. And now, since we're going to do a brute force like attack, we'll set up those parameters. So I'm not going to use the, actually, I will use the word list from the sec lists. So if you guys want to install that sec list toolset, you can you're more than welcome to download it. I'll see if I've got it on here before I do it. That way we can. Give me a second. So I've already downloaded it. I've got it on here. All right, cool. So just to download it, you just go to GitHub, get the list. So let's go to sec list. Copy that. Go back into your shell and just git clone it, and then with the link. I'm not going to do that right now, but go into the right directory in which you wanted to. So cd into your right directory, clone the directory, and that'll pull down the entire password list here. So let's just go into it and let's just find where we're going to head into. So let's go into passwords. Where else we up to? So I think it was common credentials. What else do we have? And let's go into top 20 common SSH. So let's cut it into okay, cool. So I'm just going to nano this. Actually, let's go back into it. Since I already know the credentials, I'm just going to put in the credentials. So this is just a demo sake for it. So in this case, let's say, for example, we know the credentials or we don't know if we're going to use an attack. So we'll do this in two ways. So what I'll do here is I'll edit a text file when I put in the credentials in here. Let's go into common. And then I'm just going to add that in there. Let's go back to our shell. And let's set our host to 192.168. Let's set our username. So we're now using a specific username. We're not using a user list. So password pass file, username, user pass file. So the user pass file is a list of usernames. In this case, we're just using a username. So in this case, username is going to be MSF admin. I'm going to set the password file, in this case, the pass file, which is a list of passwords, what we just had, which is the full directory path. So we need the full list of path here. So I'll copy that. Set path is here. Passwords slash, what is it, top 20? Top 20. Common. So we're going to be using this password file list. So wherever location yours is in, So if you haven't cloned or downloaded these common credentials, that's fine. Kali Linux has its own common one. So I think it's in user share. Password. I literally have a memory blank right now. I use this all the time when I'm doing my word lists. It's user share word lists. I always have this when I'm doing directory brute forcing. This is a common user share word lists. There we go. And it's got its own. So you can use the RockU one, standard. You can put your own one in there, obviously. That's the default one that's already built into Kali anyway. So you can just cut that out and see if it's got anything. Yeah. Edit it. So let's go into it, rocku.txt. And there you go. There's all the passwords inside RockU. So if you don't have a word list, you can use RockU's word list. It's okay to a certain point, but it's not anywhere means as good as where you probably want to get it. So download the sec list. It's really cool. It's separated already into categories, into locations, directories, etc. So add your own list as well. I think later we'll talk more about creating your own word list, custom word lists for proper cracking, which we'll look at when we do things like NTLM hashes and the other stuff. So not to get too far ahead of ourselves. So, all right, so that's done. We've got our path, our host, no database queries, we don't need that. Do you want to set verbose true. Let's just see the stuff that comes up onto the screen, and let's run it and see how we go. So hopefully that'll crack it or not. Okay, MSF admin tour. So now it's going to go through all those passwords one by one. And if it works, it works. And I'm pretty sure it's going to work. So hopefully it'll work. So as I said, this is just for a demo purpose since we already know the credentials. If we're going to be doing a brute force on SSH, we probably want to use a harder and faster and better cracker. I probably wouldn't be using Metasploit framework to do that. Probably using Hashcat or Hydra, which we'll probably talk about later. But you want to do a really hard brute force. Not there we go. So it looks like it's found it. Cool. So then we can probably SSH into that box with those credentials. So let's go into MSF admin. Just going into 1.2.6. 1.158. What did I do wrong? Did I change? Sorry. SSH. There we go. Okay, cool. So then you can log in straight into it. So if we do that through Metasploit as well, we can get a shell. So let's go into sessions. So it looks like we've already got a session into that box. So that's great. So let's go to sessions, tag to interact, and we want to interact with our session ID of 1 here. So we've got into sessions. Sessions just shows our current sessions that we have that are potentially backdoored. So in this case, we've got a reverse shell on port 22 from this host. Sessions is showing us what sessions are available, what session is having a backdoor, and it's saying session 1 with a shell code show to this box here. So right now what I've done is I've gone, hey, I want to interact. That's what the tag I is an interaction with ID number 1 here. So this shell session. And then we should get a full reverse session. There we go. Your name. There we go. Okay, and then we can start doing our exploitation based on, what this machine is. We can do privilege escalation, see the processes, etc., which we'll touch on as well. So that's pretty much it for Metasploit, guys. I think we sort of deviated a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed that. That was just a very quick introduction into Metasploit, like the actual framework itself. In the next subsequent videos, we're going to really jump into Armitage. We'll get a grouping around Armitage, the graphical user interface, and some of the limitations that we're seeing around Metasploit framework right now, and then how Armitage solves those when we do red teaming engagements. Okay, I hope you had fun. Thank you for viewing this with me. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any thoughts, comments, ideas, let me know, guys, and I really look forward to seeing you in the upcoming videos. I hope you've had fun. I hope you've learned a thing or two, and I'll speak to you guys very soon.